Welcome to Creepy Joe's Horror Show! With special guest, Slip Rick the Skeleton.
It's not my fault the babes like me, man.
Also, Flo.
Perverts.
And don't forget about your legendary loser host himself, Creepy Joe.
Welcome to Creepy Joe's Horror Show. Tonight we have Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. 1990.
When an anti-aging serum is being developed by a scientist, when he loses his funding, he uses it on himself with dire results.
Alright, Metamorphosis, 1990. Never saw this movie before. Just watched it last night. It is directed by George Eastman, and it didn't look like he really had much of a, history. There's maybe a couple other films that you probably never heard of, so I'm not going to waste your time by reading them off. It's starring Jean LeBrock, which it looks like he was in a couple other things, but he plays, the doctor, Peter Houseman, and he's the main character. And then the only other actress or actors that are really in it is his girlfriend, Catherine Baranov. I mean, you know how it is, man. I'm never gonna there's not one movie I think that I've ever reviewed that I can pronounce all the names. I don't know, I'd have to look back. But she plays Sally, and that's, we'll get into everybody, but the only other notable character in the movie, is Dr. Mike. He's kind of friends with them both. He's played by Harry Kaysen.
Peter, that's fantastic. I'm really happy for you.
None of them really have other movies that they were involved in, a few, but nothing that I've ever heard of, and they weren't really horror, I don't think, so I didn't bother, making, this is probably going to be one of the only reviews that I don't have a top 5 or top 10 at the end, because there's a lot to go into on this film alone, so I really didn't feel the need to add a bunch of unnecessary bullshit.
A ridiculous theory which was abandoned by Burnett himself.
So anyway, this movie, this doctor is kind of he's a scientist, and he also is a professor. He teaches, a class and everything, and
We were, who we are, and most important, what we will become.
He basically found a way to make cells. He's trying to find a way to make cells, reverse, or trying to make cells not get old, so that you don't grow old and actually, your cells repair themselves.
In other words, death is the price we must pay for the survival of our species.
Rather than deteriorate, which is a really cool concept, and I have to say, this movie really does a good job of selling the part, because they use scientific terms. It's not really cheesy. You could imagine him being your teacher and being stuck in that class and trying to understand cells. And
They are based on the theory of the mechanism of autodestruction by Burnett.
they did a good job at selling the fact, they seem like they put some thought and study into science and what they were actually talking about, because it kind of all made sense. And it doesn't take long for, you know, the other scientists at the university to, you know, they want to get their hands on there. He has all this funding coming in to, you know, carry out his research, and they're trying to pull funding because he's not showing any results, but he can't show any results because he hasn't gotten there yet, and he doesn't want everybody to know his secrets, because, you know, who wouldn't want to be young again, and, you know, people that are getting old to reverse their age.
This is a private university. They want to know where the money they invest in research ends up.
Blah, blah, blah. So we're talking about pulling funding. One of the investigators that come in to kind of see what's going on with him is the other actress, Sally. And so Sally ends up, and they end up falling in love.
Prejudice. Now we have a lawyer for the defense.
And she has a kid, and like they have the whole cheesy, like, oh, the new daddy's here, and they're going on picnics and walking the dog and whatever. I don't even know if any of that happened, but
Watch what they do when I give them these.
they show some shots of them, you know, being this happy family, and then the kid really doesn't like them, and
You don't like me too much, do you?
but they're growing on each other, and he's involved with her, and they have the cheesiest, most embarrassing sex scene of all time. Before all that happens, it's almost like, come on, man, like, when's this gonna be over? It's just drawn out. The music in it is horrible, and yeah, it's pretty bad, but you gotta love it because it makes it hilarious. And so anyway, he decides, so that they can't pull his funding and they can't have access to his research, he decides that he's going to just take the serum himself, or the whatever, have the procedure himself. They keep testing on monkeys and it's not working, it's killing the monkeys and whatever. So he injects it, and it has to go through your eyeball. And unfortunately, they show this scene like 4 different times in the movie of, you know, this syringe, this 9-inch needle going through your eyeball and into the back of your brain. They love showing it. So anyway, he goes through with it, and he only takes a small dose, and the results are good. You think so anyway, for the most part. He is stronger, he's faster, they're playing racquetball or whatever, the handball. Playing racquetball because he had a racket, and he hits it so hard that like the ball like broke through the racket. And they're showing all these examples, but he keeps having flashbacks of, you know, domestic violence, like him like beating the shit out of like women, and, you know, blood, and I don't know if there's rape, but yeah, probably they don't show it, but he gets pretty, so at first I thought, well, maybe he's seeing like other people's, like, he has these cells in his body, maybe he's seeing other people's memories or something. I don't know. You know how movies are, especially these types of movies. You don't know what the hell's going on. So, but it turns out he was doing it. He was going places and finding women and, you know, torturing them basically, but he didn't murder them, like they were still alive. And he finally retraces his tracks and goes back to this one bar, and, you know, the hooker, I believe is what her character is named as in the notes, the hooker or prostitute, he gets, you know, she's still alive, and she gets all these guys to beat the crap out of him.
Oh, you got the gun!
And then, you know, the cells kick in, and he's throwing them all through the air, and he's like, has superpowers basically. And so he gets out of there. But he realizes it's him that's doing this, and he doesn't know why. It's just a glitch in the, you know, procedure. So he's trying to figure out why.
I don't know why. I don't know what's happening to me.
At some point, it goes wrong, and it starts aging him. He ages like 50 years in one night or something.
Like he had aged 50 years all at once. It's absurd.
And he just basically is turning into this monster, and he starts just murdering everybody. And he goes in these fits of rage, like whatever evil was in the serum or caused him to be evil or whatever, slowly started taking over to where he wasn't even himself anymore. He was just fully the dark side of himself. You know, because like half the movie he's on this and he's improving and you think this is a good thing. But in reality, the darkness took over, so to speak. The very end, you know, just get it over with, I guess, because the whole movie, he slowly progresses into being this murderous, you know, monster. His face is different. He just looks like he's wearing a Freddy mask, a really poorly done Freddy mask or something. With a trench coat, of course. You know, it almost reminded me, you know, this movie reminded me in like Slime City. You know, he's even like kind of, I don't know, like his face starts turning bad and he has to kill people. It was kind of like a remembrance of that.
Please just go.
Billy said there's still hope.
He's in the hospital. He breaks out of the hospital and he goes back to this lab at a university, Virginia, I believe, and he's been taking more doses and doses, and he's trying to, you know, one last time he has this serum, which Sally and her son ended up with the serum. And then it's just like this drawn out, kind of boring at the end, not gonna lie, you know, sequence where he's trying to kill the woman and her son. And but that's not the most climatic part of the movie, because right when you think he's just going to turn into an old man or die, or maybe he'll take this serum and he'll turn young again, the end is amazing, because not only does he turn into, you know, a monster, but he turns into like an actual fucking dinosaur. Like he turns into a dinosaur. Which I, you know, couldn't believe, but at first, but it does make the movie that much better, because it's so poorly done and so cheesy, and the police are acting real serious. They're shooting at him, and you think like, you think it can't get any worse than that, right? Like he turns into this big rubber dinosaur and they're all shooting at him. But at the end, the boy and Sally are driving off, and the boy has a little lizard, like a chameleon, in a chameleon tank in the front seat. And here it turns out that's him. He reverted from a dinosaur into a chameleon. I get, that's what I took from it. It was the most bizarre ending that I've seen in a long time. And these movies, man, like, as you know, they're pretty bizarre. I mean, it doesn't take much. So I just thought it was that made it better for me. I mean, because I didn't want it to end too seriously, or else it would have, that kind of sucks. I like it to be ridiculous and stupid, and they really, you know, capitalized on ridiculous and stupid for the ending of this one. Perfect. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5, because it's not good enough to be a 4 out of 5, but it's not bad enough to be a 2. So we'll leave it at that. And oh my god, it's funny. Like sometimes I have to like second guess myself. Like, what am I doing here? talking about Metamorphosis from 1990. Maybe I should get a life, but yeah, check it out. It's on Tubi for free. This is the 4th installment of the 31 Days of Horror Halloween. I don't even have a name for it, man, because I don't care. This is just a project that I'm doing this year. Don't know if I'll do it next year. We'll see how this year goes. 31 days, 31 movies, all free on Tubi. You know, they should be like throwing me something for doing this, although only 4 of you are going to watch this and do it anyway. But yeah, man, the Tubi app is awesome. If you're a horror fan, it's a must. Absolutely free. There's thousands and thousands of movies on Tubi, hundreds, and probably, I haven't counted all the horror movies, but I know there's over 500 horror movies. And there's classics in there. Like, I know I have to, there's some on there that aren't going to be on there long, because it's almost like a Netflix. Those of you who don't know what Tubi is. But there's ads. So like, you might have to watch like 4 or 5 commercials during the movie, but they're free, and that's what makes them free. You don't have to pay a subscription, like, you know. And it's awesome, because these movies are movies that I used to rent every night when I was a kid and stay up all night watching with my friends. And I would have never dreamed back then that I didn't have to rewind on a VCR and, you know, watch, you know, movies that, you know, some of the pictures were so grainy you couldn't even. Now you can just watch it on your phone for free, and it's pretty awesome. If you're watching this year, you can legitimately, after watching this review, you can watch it for free. It's guaranteed to be on there. So hopefully I don't do one and then, you know, they kill it that night or something, but I highly doubt it. These movies have been on here for a long time, because it seems like the newer movies get taken off faster. They're only on there for maybe 6 months or something like that, if that. But these older movies that aren't really worth much money, and, you know, you can buy them for 99 cents, you know, rent them, they're not in a rush to get rid of them. It's just content on their, you know, app.
You really interested?
Well, I'm going to be 30.
It was almost good enough to be a 4 out of 5, but the only downside was it was too drawn out, kind of like some of these videos. So I'm gonna end this, you know, now. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow, and stay creepy.